Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Oh my gosh, this market is just insane. Tesla's down 5% while the Nasdaq's up 1%. It was vacillating plus or minus this morning. You got DWAC up 65%. You've got indicators saying after the inversion of the 3s and 10s and after elections, things should go green, and peak capitulation tends to come right before elections. You've got a lot of drama about Jerome Powell being at overly peak hawkishness and that just wait until CPI rotates. You've got the hopium that China's going to open up. You've got hopium that Russia's finally going to solve. You've got hopium that the winter's going to be a-okay in Europe. There's a lot of hopium. There's a lot of weirdness. Everything's just kind of a disaster. Or it's just another normal day in the stock market. See, my view here is because obviously we're in a situation where, we're kind of skidding along bottoms for many different stocks, and even stocks that are green, like DWAC up 66%, the darn thing's down to $29. Back when I went on Newsmax, I told them when it was $145, the thing was gonna trend back to $10 and probably go to $10. Now, it only made it back to $15, but still, it's at $29 now. That's almost a double since it hit 15, okay? So what's the madness that's going on? What's driving the insanity in the markets today? Because quite frankly, it doesn't seem to be any kind of like massive news in one sector that is moving other sectors as well. And so, sure, you've got corporations dumping bonds on the market like crazy, which when they dump bonds on the market, you see all of a sudden bond prices fall, bond yields go up. As bond yields go up, what do you have? You have more of an attractiveness to buy bonds rather than stocks, right? Because you have to then assign a greater risk premium to stock. Let me clarify that simply. If you could get 4.5% on treasuries right now, risk-free, and they just went up again today, why would you invest in stocks for a 6% return, potentially, right? Maybe a 9% return, but still, you have to assess that risk premium that you're willing to assign, the difference between 4.5 and 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever you expect the market will actually return. Now, hopefully stocks will give us a sweet old 20%, 50%, maybe even a double trouble for certain stocks over the next year, but hope is not an investing strategy. But I will tell you something that seems to be very consistent. And as much as I've done so many statistics and reports in prior videos, I want to keep this one really simple and just straight between us. Right before an election, you are always going to get peak insanity. Literally, peak insanity. Every fund manager would be a complete idiot to buy right before an election if they had to answer to pension funds or corporations or other fund managers, like managing fund managers. Why would that be? Why would that be? Think about that for a moment. Why would institutions want to maybe sit this week out? No, it's not just the election, okay? We'll talk about that. But why would institutions want to sit this week out? And how could things actually turn over the next week or so? Now, we'll see, no guarantees. I'm not calling for a bottom, but why could some of the insanity we're seeing today be temporary? Let's talk about that. But first, a quick message from Masterworks and then my thoughts. But first, I want to thank today's sponsor, Masterworks. Look, the 60-40 portfolio, like 60% stocks, 40% bonds, is down around 34% this year. It's worst performance in 100 years. And as a result, we're seeing a lot of institutions and ultra-wealthy investors diversify with alternative assets. But with Bitcoin stuck around $20,000, home mortgage rates soaring, what's the best alternative to invest in to keep your portfolio resilient and diversified? Well, Masterworks believes it's real and tangible assets, ones that even Goldman Sachs and BlackRock have recommended. Fine art. The art market is so detached from other markets that the average piece in the fine art market is selling for 26% more today than it was last year. Masterworks picks the art they think has the highest potential for appreciation, from legends like Picasso and Banksy. Then, Masterworks divides paintings into shares, so you don't need millions of dollars to invest to buy the whole painting, you can buy a slice. After that, they wait for the opportune time to sell, to get you the best possible results. Masterworks has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and they've produced results. For example, 6 out of the last 7 paintings that Masterworks has exited have given investors more than 20% 20% net returns. In fact, just a few weeks ago, Masterworks sold a George Condo painting for a 21.5% net return to investors. Masterworks has had to release more art on their platform just to meet the demand for Masterworks, and now there's a wait list. But fortunately, you can skip the wait list by clicking on the link in the description down below. I've been talking about Masterworks since last year, and it's a great opportunity to keep your portfolio diverse. So skip the wait, go check out that link in the description, and check out Masterworks. Welcome back. So my thought, DWAC is up 66% at the time of this recording. Why? Because there's the belief that Donald Trump is going to announce his candidacy for president. A lot of folks thought he would make way for Ron DeSantis, but apparently Donald Trump is already working out nicknames for Ron DeSantis, like Ron DeSanctimonious. Yeah. So Donald Trump is already preparing his fight against Ron DeSantis, but that could actually be okay within the Republican Party, because even if the Republican Party chose to elevate Donald Trump during the sort of primary season leading up to the primaries and throughout debates over the next 8 months that we'll see, Ron DeSantis could actually set up his own platform for a potential other Republican nominee, which could be Donald Trump, right? Election in 2028. So this is actually a very typical strategy. Generally, you don't pull off what the Democratic Party pulls off, where they just collude and say, no, we will only have one candidate. Nobody will fight anyone else. That's kind of what they do in California. Just look at Gavin Newsom and the campaign I ran against him. No, we shall have no other options. There is only one. The party has decided, and everyone has one choice. That is it. Yeah, that's literally what happened in California last year during the recall election. Pretty disgusting. But enthusiasm over Donald Trump's SPAC, DWAC, and the stock leading to basically a 2x rally is such that Donald Trump is willing to accept his invite back to Twitter. However, he says he's found home at Truth Social. And therefore, if you want to be a part of all of the, well, let's just say, madness that happens in the election cycle over the next, it's not 8 months, 18 months, actually more, it'd be 8 months plus a year, right? So about over the next 20 months, the crazy madness that we're gonna see over the next 20 months, then you're gonna have to be on Truth Social. So you're gonna see a lot of reporters flock to Truth Social. When a lot of reporters are on Truth Social, they're going to report what Donald Trump said on Truth Social, and that is going to literally be the greatest free advertising for Donald Trump's social media platform, Truth Social. Even I'm talking about it. I think if you took a shot every time I just said Truth Social, you'd probably die. Don't do that. So that's one thing. So, when we go over here and we look and we're like, oh yeah, okay, Truth Social, DWAC's at the top at 66%. Sure. Is it a money-making business? Is it a good investment? Probably not, but it leaves, then again, I don't want to say that at $29 because look, this is the kind of stock that has low liquidity and fundamentally it might not make sense, but even, low liquidity stocks that are terrible with fundamentals will do very, very well because they just get more attention. Think about it. Just the fact that it's up 66% is going to lead to more people, talking about, oh, Donald Trump's stock is up double in the last few weeks, and then more people pile in. It's the crazy herd and sheep mentality. This is just so typical. So why then are we seeing, for example, Tesla down 5%? This is a year-over-year low, a 12-month low for Tesla. Why? Folks, it's simple. This is a referendum on Elon Musk. Bloomberg, all day long, really over the last about 20 hours, because they started this yesterday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, basically the entire 20 hours, we have had Elon Musk lambasted on Bloomberg, suggesting that Elon Musk is somehow insane because he fired thousands of workers and now he's calling some of them back. He's apparently only calling back like maybe a few dozen, which is if you just type in, let's just type in a few dozen, 48 divided by 3750, right? That's 1%. Hey, sometimes groups get fired and you're like, oh no, that person was actually good. We'd actually take them back and we'll pay him a little bit more. That's not a terrible thing. But what everybody's trying to do is blast Elon Musk to make him look like an idiotic leader. Oh, let's fire everybody. Oh, look, you're losing advertisers left and right. In my opinion, it's just straight up slander, give the man a chance. Obviously, I think things should be run a little bit differently at Twitter. I think Elon Musk should have come in and said, listen, all advertisers, done. Nobody gets advertisements on Twitter. Now, all of a sudden, all the users are happy. It's temporary. It's just a temporary gift. And you tell all the advertisers, we'll let you know when we get our stuff back together. Because the problem is, if you want to go back to the advertisers in 3 months and they already said, I'm done with your platform, you go back to the advertisers like, hey, we have this new system. Will you come back? They're like, dude, we made a public statement that we're done with you, like maybe in a few years. It's hard for people to save face and actually come back after they made a public statement that they're leaving your platform. Sure, they could flip-flop, but we all know that flip-floppers get lambasted even more. You know, I had this great idea that I was going to become a pilot over the next 3 months, and I promptly flip-flopped on that idea. Although I learned a lot. True story. Anyway, so yeah, look, I mean, we're in a very painful era right now. Does it make logical sense that Open Door is down 14%? Yeah, that's one of the few that makes logical sense. Does it make logical sense that Carvana is down 98%? Okay, probably a little overstretched. I mean, the used car market has popped, right? You had no cars to sell, so you weren't making any commissions. Now we're seeing used car values plummet, so your margins are getting even tighter. And you spent all this money on used car vending machines, and now people are demanding more customer service, not less. See, back when there were no cars, your model worked great, Carvana, because people didn't care to test drive, they just wanted a car. Now buyers have buying power and you have to support test drives, which you didn't build into your infrastructure before as well as you could have, or as well as you would have expected, with you know, what was deemed to be this sort of changing consumer dynamic that they'll buy cars from a vending machine. And yeah, oops, yeah, no. But look, across the board, it's pain. Enphase, phenomenal freaking earnings, down to 270. Now, Enphase, I'm a little bit concerned about going into residential investments declining, as we saw in the last GDP report, and we expect that to continue for Q1, Q2. Q4 will probably actually do very well for Enphase because you get the end of the year tax credit rush. But Q1, Q2 are the ones that I'm concerned about for Enphase. But this is a very, very, very difficult time. And what I would say, for those of you who are in the market, first of all, if you're shorting the market, like, congratulations, you've just continuously been killing it all year long because you haven't been fighting the Fed, right? You're patiently waiting. You're doing the right thing, which is you're patiently waiting for the Federal Reserve to actually U-turn. We're not talking about pivot. We're not talking about going from straight to left, which is a pivot, or from straight to 45 degrees, which is a pivot. Think basketball. We're talking about full on, got the ball out of here, right? That's a 180. That's a U-turn. That's what we're looking for. U-turns are 180s. So it's going to be another hot minute. So earlier in this video, I said that I don't actually think if you're a fund manager, you should be investing before this week. So why is that? Well, think about it, folks. You've got an insane amount of earnings coming out. You've got consumer data coming out like crazy. You're going to have data on, for example, Affirm. How are those buyers doing in terms of their buy now, pay later? How's Gen Z doing? A huge consumer base using buy now, pay later like crazy. How are you going to buy Affirm or really any companies in consumer discretionary without knowing how those buying trends are doing in the latest reports? Why would you buy those right now? You wouldn't, because not only are you waiting for that earnings data, but you're also waiting for the election tomorrow. What if Democrats maintain in some fluky way full control? I mean, you could trust the polls and say, no, it's definitely going to be split, but we tried that in 2018. We tried that in 2016, and trusting the polls just didn't work. Y'all remember 538. I'm surprised they haven't rebranded themselves to 530 Lie. But anyway, look, we have no idea what's going to happen with the election. If we get a split election, it should be good for stocks. That's why Elon Musk is now, as the CEO of the free speech platform that costs you $8, coming out and tweeting that you should vote for Republicans to purposely split Congress so nothing happens. Again, the referendum on Elon Musk as a leader, because he's now all of a sudden becoming a political figure. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. I don't get me wrong. Like, I never want to come across as an Elon hater because I'm a big Elon fan. I think most people know, like, Kevin, you're one of the farthest things from an Elon hater. But I think of myself as, like, slightly to the Elon side of the middle, but I'm not like, oh, Elon could do no wrong. He makes mistakes. He's human, totally normal, understandable. Things I think he could do better if he had somebody by his side, you know, just to kick him in the butt every so often. That's okay. I'm probably like that myself anyway, to some degree. I see a lot of similarities in that. And so I love Elon. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, why are you seeing Tesla stock down? Elon. Okay, it's that simple. So, I mean, fundamentally, it's not like, I was gonna say fundamentally, it's not like we're not expecting to sell all of the vehicles that Tesla is manufacturing. But I will say, those delivery timeframes have basically compressed to like 0, the lead times. And that's something that I've always said is like a red flag. I hate saying this, but Peloton, when I sold it like really high at like $113, I sold because the lead times compressed to like 0. And now pretty much every model on the Tesla website is November delivery, with the exception of the Model 3 long range, which they're just not offering deliveries on right now, and the Model Y long range, which gives you a December delivery. The Model Y Performance is available for delivery in November. Maybe that's because they're getting ready to slash the price, and they probably will have to, and the market is pre-pricing that in. But I think a lot of the action we're seeing now is a referendum on Elon Musk, and that just happens to be adding to the story, because if growth does slow down for Tesla, okay, yeah, then we got even more oopsie doopsies. But we'll see. I'm optimistic that Teslas will continue to be sold. I do expect a price cut at some point here in the near future, and that'll prop us right back up. I would assume when the backlog gets to, if we're doing 450,000 vehicles in the next quarter, 450,000 vehicles divided by 3 is on pace to about 150,000 vehicles a month. I would say we're probably good through the end of the year with order backlog, which is fine because it's tax credit season anyway. I would think that in January, there's a good shot at seeing a price drop, and that'll really, I think, propel demand right after that sort of tax benefit lapses. It doesn't go away, but it's just the benefit is realized really at the end of the year for the next tax season coming up. So if you take it in January, you're not really getting that until the April following, which is like 15 months later, right? So you do the price cut in January, probably the most strategic and ideal time. But otherwise, this is just, this is a market that should not be investing at the moment, with especially because you have CPI data coming out on Thursday. Thursday, we're expecting a 0.6 month-over-month a bump in CPI, which is like a 7.2% pace, really, really strong, very, very high. And so again, going back to the manager mentality, why would you be investing this week? You have an election tomorrow. You have earnings coming up. You have uncertainty about CPI. It's a disaster. You have nothing good to look forward to this week until you actually get the facts. And if the facts say it's good news, maybe then we can actually have a sustained bottom under this market. But if we get bad news, you're going to the downside and you're gonna look like an idiot if you bought this week. Or anytime before this week. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Good luck, everyone. Bye.